Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. I have a return guest. I have Amy Palacios back on. She was the mother that spoke out on Mecklenburg and Cabarrus County's extreme corruption. She was on season 3, episode 117 on September 29th, 2022. Now, what's going on with her? She's a mother of 6 children. And there are 2 ex-husbands fighting in court with the same lawyer, attorney Jay White. And they're perpetuating 14 years of corruption. So that's what the last podcast was on. And I'm bringing her back on because there's an update to her case, as well as her ex taking the kids to Florida for the weekend. So I welcome you back on the show, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. My faith is definitely kicking in and keeping me strong.
That must be stressful, getting a text and the kids are going to Florida. And he already has like some legal issues himself.
Right. We went since I've been back on with you. I've gone to court twice on October 3rd and October 25th. And October 3rd, they did give me a court order saying I had to pay him. It's around $2,800 a month. Matthew Bledsoe, my first ex-husband. And he's the one that I have my 4 older kids with that are 17, 16, 14, and 13. And then on October 25th, we were supposed to be heard on all matters that are pending. So I had filed for motion to modify custody, asked for sole custody, and he had filed for contempt and saying I needed to do it. I had told you he's trying to put me in jail, saying I need to do another psychological evaluation, which he's used that in the past in Mecklenburg County, and followed through with it. I actually went to jail for a weekend just based on lies. So I had already done these $12,000 thing that they had already told me to do, and it was just like repetitive. And even at that time, this is what's my fear, right? Because our elections are coming up. My fear was my judge in Mecklenburg County never got reelected. So that's when all this bad stuff was happening to me in Mecklenburg County, because Gina Kohler was not reelected. So they were just, the guardian ad litem was going under a different judge with his lawyer, and I was pro se, and saying I had to do all this stuff that was supposedly ordered by the judge without any kind of like actual order. And because, we don't have the judge anymore, so you have to make the order.
Because you're stuck with Christy Wilhem, correct?
Yes. And so I don't think she's going opposed this time. So that's my relief with her, is that I don't think they can give me a new judge in Cabarrus County, because I don't think she's opposed in the elections. And so my fear was that I was having the same thing happen. But I did, at the end of my order, this temporary custody order that we have, where I have every other weekend. And then they moved my permanent trial, which was supposed to be October 25th, all the way to February 9th. And I said, so we just went on the 25th for contempt. He's saying I'm in contempt for not doing psychological evaluations. Not necessarily that I didn't do the evaluation or go see a psychiatrist, but that I didn't give all my results to his lawyer, was because I had already given her an open court a paper. She said I didn't do it at all, but I had given her an open court, and it was on record, the paper that said I went there. So it's a repetitive lying cycle for them. But he was in contempt for 2 things. There's a court order under Christy Wilhem that says that Jay White cannot represent Matthew Bledsoe. He's still representing Brad Urban, my other ex-husband, but there's a court order saying he cannot represent Matthew Bledsoe. Well, the crazy thing is in our October 3rd trial, even though he wasn't the physical lawyer standing next to him with the DSS child support, which Jay White's over the DSS child support, there was another guy standing in called Goldberg. And Goldberg was the guy that went on October on August 15th and did the trial too. And Jay White was walking in and out of the trial even on August 15th. And, there's an order saying he can't be a part of the trial.
Mhm.
Well, on October 3rd, he was still walking out in front of the trial, talking to this Goldberg guy. And then at the end of the trial, when they're given the verdict, he walks across the whole courtroom and tries to say that I need to pay back child pay of, $3,000 a month for whatever, 4 months or something. So over $10,000 now. And he's waving his hands and making a whole scene. And Cloninger was the judge for the child support. And the Cloninger actually said, no, we're not gonna do that. So I have an ADA or add the back child support. There is they haven't even started the order yet because they never even filed it till the end of this month. So I guess when it's done through DSS child support, they have to take it out of your check before taxes.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's the reason why they're using like the largest amount, like not your paycheck after taxes, all that kind of stuff. Even though they use my ex-husband's paycheck after taxes, okay, after taxes, they use my paycheck before taxes, and they use my pay stubs from 2021, even though we were October of 2022. And I had shown that I was essentially making the same as him for the last 6 months. We were making the same amount. They said, well, we decided to use 2021. So, and they refused to give me the copy of his pay stubs, which I'm told is not legal.
Mhm.
So the judge even said, you have to get that subpoenaed way beforehand. Well, no, this is all child support court. If he's sitting there looking at my pay stubs and he has not only a DSS, social worker next to him, but a DSS lawyer and Jay White standing next to him off and on, coming back and forth. And I have nobody. They get all the information and I get nothing. I don't get proof that what he had, So the only thing that they did say, because the crazy thing is from August 15th, right, to October 3rd, they changed my income and said I had a $5,000 a month increase. $5,000 in 6 weeks.
That's kind of what they did to me too.
And I'm like, okay. And then he had a decrease. So somehow, he's claiming that he makes like $50,000 less a year than he had made even years ago. You know what I mean? So, and they won't let me see his paychecks.
That's what they were doing to me.
But it's a national thing. So like, it's how many years ago did it happen to you?
This was about 2015. No, wait, 2013, 14, around there.
So now, over 10 years later, they're doing the same exact thing in all these different states. Yes. All the women are crazy. We're going to kidnap the kids from all the women, make the women pay child support, or make them pay these ungodly amounts of money until they can't provide for themselves, or we're going to put them in jail. It's the same threat across the board, right?
It is. In fact, I did a podcast yesterday with Natalia Dalton, Francesca Amato, and Hannah Morris, and that's what they're doing to Natalia Dalton. They took this guy's arrears and gave them to her to pay off, and then they added more money. They're railroading her entirely.
Well, I have 2 orders. One saying that I had to pay Jay White and Brad Urban $85,000. So that was my second ex-husband. And that order, 15 of it was like lawyer fees, and then 70 of it was to him for equitable distribution, the guy that beat me up, right, and in jail for 6 months, and has 2 criminal convictions of assault. I'm supposed to pay him, and I have sole custody of his 2 children, and he only has supervised visitation. So the crazy thing about that is that Jay White wrote me this letter from his firm saying all that money needed to be paid to him. And when we went to court on August 15th, because, I had 3 different court dates at the same time in 3 different courtrooms originally scheduled. he said all the money, the whole $85,000 is supposed to be paid to Jay White. Well, when he tried to put me in jail, 30 days for Jay White and 30 days for not paying Brad Urban, so it's a total of 60 days in jail, I was like, dude, you can order me all day long to pay his lawyer fees, but you cannot put someone in jail for not paying lawyer fees or medical fees. I'm a medical provider. I can't put somebody in jail for not paying the fees. You just can't. And they're literally their excuse is like, well, any court order you don't do, you can go to jail for. But there has to be a law behind it. Like if there's a law that you can't go to jail for not paying medical or lawyer fees, right? Then they can't put you in jail for it. They can't just break the law on top of it. So they're breaking the law with Jay White, right? Because I have a court order that says from Christy Wilhem that Jay White cannot be part of the child support. And I do have advocates actually. Amada, she's actually on my advocate team right now, and I know Hannah and her. And so it's my first in October 3rd, they would not let me have an advocate. They said ADA advocate or an advocate has nothing to do with child support. They did let me have the advocate in my hearing on the 25th of October, but we only got heard for contempt on his part and saying I was contempt of my part. But they didn't hear about the kids, said they're going to hear about that in February. Well, I did ask, because I'm not really caring if he goes to jail or not, but he has he'll have 2 criminal convictions of contempt. One, because he wasn't giving me my kids on my assigned weekends. And then 2, because he was using Jay White as assistance for the child support. So I asked for the child support to be ended and for my kids to be given to me for 60 days. So I need sole custody of my kids. And even if it's a temporary order till we get to February and make it a permanent order, because he doesn't get to keep doing what he wants. Well, my issue with Florida is all of a sudden, they did say they were going to the beach, but they said they were driving for 2 days, that they were out of school. And I thought it was North Carolina, right? And so it was supposed to be North Carolina, but when they changed their mind, he changed his mind and wanted to go to Florida for over a week, just like a week from now. It was because he has these possible 2 convictions. So my issue is I'm not going to be convicted. I have no criminal contempt because I did this evaluation. It's against the law for them to say I have to give my records under the ADA accommodations to his lawyer. Okay. So I gave copies of what I had to the judge. Okay. That's all that has to be. You don't have to be paraded in court, pulled through the ringer, talk like you're crazy. Because the only reason why they're saying you're crazy is because you're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and they're lying.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like even his lawyer was like, she tried to, I have an email right here. Even his lawyer tried to say that he wasn't in, I couldn't even hear the contempt because I didn't know the dates that he didn't give me my kids, and that I had never told her the dates. Well, I have a email right here, contempt. I don't know if you can see it. And it says her name, Donna Johnson, on there. And on there, she also I copied the bar. Okay. So in the beginning of the hearing, she's like, oh, well, you never told me. But once she had this email in her hand, she took it back. So, okay, we're going to proceed with the hearing because I know the dates that he didn't give you your kids. So, and my ex-husband admitted on stand, that it was my weekend, one of the weekends that he didn't give them to me. He admitted that it was my weekend, but he claimed he recalls they went. But my husband was my witness, right? He had no other witness. Okay. Except for, so we had 2 people saying my kids weren't there. We have him saying, oh, I recalled they went. And then he kept threatening, I'm going to just stop and bring the kids in after lunch. And Well, the thing is, the reason why he didn't bring the kids in is because the kids would convict him, because the kids know they didn't go that weekend.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So he would have to prepare them ahead of time to lie again. It probably, and I would be the one questioning them
Mhm.
instead of like when they brought my kids in before, and I had my own lawyer, and the lawyers talk to the kids, and that's the worst thing ever, because you can't question your kid yourself to know what the truth is, and the exact questions to ask,
Mhm.
because the lawyer doesn't. But so my big issue is that we're waiting on a criminal an order. He has there will be 2 criminal convictions, because there's video cameras on October 3rd, and there was 50 people in the room. Me and my husband testified that Jay White was there. Matt testified he wasn't. Then Matt this is how even crooked, that Jay Goldstein, the lawyer that was standing next to him on October 3rd and helped on October 15th and all that, he came in and testified and said that Jay White wasn't there, that it was somebody else, that it was a total different person. And so there was a complaint made to the Department of Justice about what happened on October 3rd. And they must have lied to the Department of Justice that Jay White wasn't even there. Because Jay White, there's all these different articles right now in Cabarrus County in the news multiple times. One, these teachers that got in trouble because he's over the school board also for standing up to him. He was trying to take their license, all that stuff. That was these teachers were in WBTV news. Okay. Then he takes this grandmother's kids by these fake paperwork that he signs like a judge, and these kids are still in foster home while she went to get her knee surgery. He just takes the kids. And then there's other stuff going on with the criminal stuff where all these people are getting fake deals. Like the people that have money are getting off for stuff that's criminal stuff, whether it's like speeding tickets or whatever. And then the people that don't have money are going to jail for it. Right. So those 3 things happen within the last 6 months. So they know he's like doing whatever he wants to do.
Mhm.
Right. And then blatantly lying. And so I just said, I did also on October 25th, when I did say to Goldberg, when he was testifying, you put your hand on the Bible, you're saying you're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, So, like, you're lying right now. Like, I was there. And they were like, oh, you could be in contempt. You could go to jail for saying the lawyer lies.
Oh,
You can go to jail right now for
no.
contempt for saying a lawyer is lying.
I've done that twice and I never went to jail.
I think one other time I said that Jay White was lying, and a different judge threatened me that too. But what I don't understand, explain to me why you can't say a lawyer's lying. Why can't you?
They just want to scare you.
How are you in contempt of court for that? I don't understand.
That this family court, it's an illegitimate court. It's a kangaroo court, and they make things up as they go along to scare people that aren't knowledgeable about the law, and this double speak that they use when you're up there or in the witness stand, or it's all fear tactics.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. I just don't know how they can make up what your income is and decide whatever time I have another person in our prayer line group. She has no income right now. No income. And they're using her income from 3 years ago, before COVID, when she got fired or whatever, laid off because of the COVID situation, and you couldn't go in for the job. And she stayed at home mom with her other kid. And the kid that's kidnapped is like 9, and she's staying home with the 3-year-old. But now they're making her pay for the 9-year-old, and she has no income. They're just using her income from whenever. You're supposed to use the last 2 pay stubs. The last two pay stubs, not whatever they make up your income is.
I was always going into domestic relations with modifications every time because I lost my nursing job. I lost my nursing license. That's what they did
Oh,
to me.
wow.
I mean, I lost everything. I was like the female version of Job. And that's what I told the judge, but she didn't
Oh,
care.
wow.
She really didn't care. She still thought I was. She thought I was a nurse still. Uh, couldn't get that through her thick head. But anyway, I was still being estimated at what I made as a nurse. They didn't care that, through lies and false accusations, using CPS as a tool to make, any person lose their job, career, whatever. A child support judge needs to go back and actually look at the record and the case. No one's doing this. And, good moms, good dads, no, these judges are just going, oh, last pay stub, okay. Oh, let me add $3,000 onto those arrears. That's what they're doing to people.
And the men, if they have arrears, they pay like 50 cents a month for 7 years or something to make up the arrears. And the women, all of a sudden, you have to pay the $3,000 now or you go to jail.
Yeah, this is crazy.
That's what, because she even, like, someone else even said that, like, when their ex-husband had $40,000 worth of arrears and he has to pay like $100 a month for the arrears or whatever, something really low. But if I had the arrears or if you had the arrears, we would have to pay it tomorrow or go to jail.
Right.
And come up with the money somehow. And so
yeah.
I think they haven't messed with my license because I've been telling all along and talking all along. And if they mess with my license, they can't get any money. Right.
Well, but even though I had my loss of license, the judge was still estimating me at a nursing income. That's what she was doing.
The crazy thing is this Jay White guy was trying to make these teachers lose their license for standing up to him, and they literally quit or got fired or whatever, and they just aren't even working as teachers anymore because they're so terrified. But I don't think they've lost the license because we were doing this, and I gave her every contact I had, the FBI, like every person that supposedly, Newton, like the people over our county, like I'm telling these people, and they're literally saying, Senator Newton said his assistant, Andrew, said he was going to make a complaint to the Department of Justice. He said he himself was going to make a complaint. I have a recording of that, him speaking that and saying that. But nothing ever came of it. They never even sent me anything in the mail saying there was a investigation. But I resent like your video from the last time that we did an interview and some other updates as I've been doing it as I go. And I'll send them again this video today that, you said you're doing something about it. Why has the Department of Justice done nothing? And why their reasoning is something's wrong with me. I'm crazy. I have 2 evaluations that show I'm not. And that, I'm making it all up, right? Obviously, I'm not making it up. And so you can't use that as an excuse anymore. And there were 50 people in the room. So there's somebody that has a conscience. There's a bailiff. There's a recorder, another lawyer, somebody that has a conscience that's going to say that guy that was standing there was walking in out of the courtroom and doing all that stuff was Jay White. So Goldberg works with Jay White in the state. So essentially his firm or all these people are over Goldberg. So of course he's going to lie for his boss. But the thing is when he sat on stand and was completely lying, it was like he has these dark brown eyes. It's like his face was gray. His eyes were gray. He was dead. Like it was like that same person that I met the first time I met him because, they had lied and said, I never had an order that Jay White couldn't be a part of it. And once he found out there was an order, Jay White's still in and out of the room. So you can't, he did say on stand that Jay White was in and out of the room on October 15th. And I mean, he sat with Jay White on not October 15th, August 15th. And 3 different trials. 2 were held on August 15th, and they did move 1 to August 16th. And Goldstein was there the whole time, and he works with the county. So essentially, he was supposed to be replacing Jay White. But the problem is they're still covering up for him. They're still covering up for him. I mean, his firm, Hartzell, they have someone that sits on the bar. At times, they even represent the Department of Justice. At times, they are the county attorneys. Jay White is over DSS child support, like DSS child welfare, DSS child support. He's over the school board. He has his hands in so many different pots, and he's using his power and abuse of the system, and all, like, their plans are for me to be in jail and for them to take my kids from not being able to pay this ungodly amount of money. But guess what? The Department of Justice has to step in. If Newton is complaining to them, they have to step in. If a whole entire room is proving that he's lying, there are cameras. Okay, there are cameras all over that courtroom. And I know a lot of courthouses don't have cameras, but there are cameras that were recording. So he can lie, but there's cameras. And I don't care. The Department of Justice can look at the cameras. And this is an instant where you need to. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not lying, you know?
Right.
Jay White was standing there. Jay White was speaking. Jay White was a part of my trial. And they already violated the ADA violations by not letting the ADA counselor to be a part of my hearing on October 3rd. They already just blatantly violated it. So that's a Department of Justice violation. Mm-hmm. But then the second one was there's a court order that Jay White is not to be a part of it. So that's, illegal. He knows that order is in place. He's doing whatever he wants to do. So at some point, when does this guy lose his license?
Right. Not soon enough. Maybe it would help to put things up on Google reviews. That's what I did. I put Google reviews on my judges, the attorney, the CPS, the domestic relations. I've had over 10,000 views.
Wow.
And some thumbs up. So, wow. It's like, if they're not going to listen to me when I write in a complaint over and over again, right, why don't I just start showing a couple transcripts where they messed up and highlighted them so the public can see the mistakes and the laws that they're breaking, and put it up on Google reviews, and that way everyone can see what they're doing. I give up.
Yeah. But the thing is we have the secret weapon. God is stronger than any of these evil things. There's a reason why there's Bible in the courtroom, because the courtroom was supposed to be just, and it says, even I wanted to say to this guy, do you know what it says in the Bible? Like, if you lie, you're cursed. You know that? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't just say whatever you want to say and get away with it. And sin leads to death. Mm-hmm. Sin leads to death. So you continually sin, you continually lie, you continually do all these things. Bad things are going to happen to you. Mm-hmm. Like our other, Amy from the Adelies Rights. I mean, her ex-husband's done all this horrible stuff to her and kept her kids from her. And now he just had like a heart attack and a stroke and having open heart surgery. God vindicates. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's a couple years down the road. It's going to happen. And the thing is our kids are only 18 for this short period of time. Yeah. And I'm just going to speak into your life that all that is past, even with your kids, that they're going to see the truth, that they're going to all of a sudden see a video. They're going to all of a sudden see the truth. And God is immediately going to change their thinking. Because the thing is when God changes the thinking to the truth and quit making people believe that sin is right, then everything that happened in the past can be changed in an instant. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm still praying for these lawyers. I'm still praying for my ex-husbands. I mean, I have my kids and we're still praying for these people. Even when they're like, you know, my oldest one's crying, like, you shouldn't have to pay my dad all this money. You pay for everything. Even my second to my oldest daughter, the one that I just bought an Infinity SUV for, granted, it's like 70,000 miles on it. It's not brand new, but it's still an expensive car, right? So the car payment's like what, $540 a month, and you know, car insurance, gas, you know, it costs over $800 a month just for her to drive, and she's 16, you know. She's like, you know, if you have to sell that car, that's fine. I don't think you should have to pay my dad anything because you pay for everything. And she's honestly the one that is the most like me in a personality. I think the reason why my oldest and I butt heads the most is because she's the most like her dad. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so like our rationalizing and our ways of thinking are so different. It's just like you shouldn't be punished as a mother for telling your kids what to do. Your kids, the court system is teaching your kid how to be a narcissist. Like I literally told my kids we're all riding together. I'd just gotten a court order that week saying I have to pay $3,000 a month to their dad. So instead of driving 2 cars to a wedding, I said, we're all riding together. I'm not paying an extra $300 in gas. I really didn't feel safe with my 16-year-old driving in traffic, all that kind of stuff. Well, my oldest threw a fit about it. And I had gotten out of the house once, and then she said, oh, I left my phone at home. And honestly, I don't even know if she really left her phone. Because right when we got back to the house, she started throwing this fit that she's not riding with us and she's doing her own thing. And honestly, she's 17 years old. You know, I should have just left. I should have left the house with the other 5 kids in the car and said, okay, well, you go drive your own car. That not this Infinity SUV that I just purchased, but the one that's, you know, your dad's, you know, let him bring you a car if you want to come, or otherwise you just stay home. Like I should have done that. And I wish I could turn back time and had done that. But what happened after the rehearsal dinner, so to appease my daughter acting like that, my second to my oldest daughter gets out of the car and is, oh, well, I'll just drive her. Okay. And I drove a little bit quickly to get back to the house because I told them, we got to hurry. We're going to get behind the buses, and it'll take another 25 minutes to get out of the neighborhood because we have a huge neighborhood and you're stopping behind and you can't pass a bus. Right. And she, my oldest was like telling my family later, oh, I couldn't ride with her because she drives like a maniac. And I went back to the house to go get her phone that she, you know what I mean? And I see her when I have cameras all over my house. I see her calling her dad, talking crap about me. You know what I mean? And I pay for the cell phone.
Oh man.
So I get to the wedding, and to the rehearsal dinner that night, my second daughter gets hit by a deer. So she doesn't have the Infinity SUV anymore. I gotta get it fixed. And right now with all this financial attack, you know, I just don't even have the extra out-of-pocket money. I'm not gonna turn it into an insurance with a 16-year-old claim, because guess what? Then her insurance will be like $1,200 a month.
Right.
You know? And so really the problem is now my second kid, that's my good kid that, you know, does everything for everybody else, is suffering the consequences of my first kid's behavior.
Oh.
But yet she came to my parents' house and it's like, my mom, you know, I never yelled around my family. I never raised my voice to my kids. I never even yelled when they got hit by the deer. You know what happened is we were driving in front of them and I saw the deer come out And I literally screamed at the entire car that was in the car with me, because my older daughter and my older daughter were in the car. I said, pray now. And I'm screaming, Father, in the name of Jesus, do not let that. And that deer was going head on, like it's going to head on collision, like hit into her. And the deer turned and it hit the side of the car. So I didn't know that it hit the side of the car. It looked like, because it was dark, that it didn't hit her. Right. And she kept driving.
Right.
So I feel like even in the bad situations, how God is supposed to use all the bad for our good. In that bad situation, my middle kids were like, Mom, when we got home, Mom, you said you had a bad feeling and you didn't want her to drive. It wasn't about, you knew something like this was going to happen. Separately, my 2 middle kids come up to me and said that. Okay. Separately. And they got to witness, like, me and my husband just stopping what we're doing in the middle of the road praying. We need a supernatural miracle. We're seeing the deer run straight at her, because it went like behind me. So, I think the thing is like, kids are taught that if they don't want to do what you want them to do, and you're the parent, right, that you're the problem. Right. And that they can attack you just like the ex-husband attacked you, call you crazy, walk around my front yard that I'm just crazy, I'm not riding in the car with her. I mean, I have all these videos of it. And then we get to the rehearsal dinner and she's acting like nothing's wrong, sitting next to me, taking videos, taking photos, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then when the deer hit the car, and I said, this consequence is both of you. You both decided to drive this car when I said no. So I said, whatever the payment is, whatever the amount is, you guys can split it. And I didn't yell, I didn't raise my voice, I didn't whatever. But guess what? To my parents and to everyone else, my oldest, not my second to my oldest, but my oldest, was going to my sisters, to my parents, to everyone, how horrible of a person I am. But nobody in my family, I don't know that I even know that I was paying got even a letter that I was paying $3,000 a month, because we don't tell everybody, except for, like, if they don't listen to the video, I'm not calling and talking about this. I'm moving on. I'm walking in a daily life. I'm taking care of, all these old people, my kids, whatever. I try not to just constantly talk about it, because otherwise you feel like it consumes your life.
It can. I mean, that's how toxic this whole court system is. It's just so toxic that, it does and can make even, someone going through it sick. But even, like, as you were saying that, this, when people are evil, it does catch up with them, because my judge died,
Wow.
So moment of silence. Okay. So yeah, I mean, dreams can come true. But seriously, when I got that phone call, my friend called me and said, "Hey, did you know he died?" I said, "What? Are you joking?" Yeah,
but God vindicates. And so, I've had so many dreams for the last 10 years that my second husband dies in a car accident, drinking and driving. And I honestly believe that if I haven't been praying for him the last 10 years, that he would have already had that happen. And my prayer is to keep my kids out of the car.
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? Now, this last order, even though he has been beating up police, two women, all this stuff, he can drive my kids during the day. He has supervised overnights. But a guy that has a repetitive drug and alcohol problem, diagnosed as bipolar, at any point can just flip. And when he flips, it's raging in the car, driving quickly, drinking and drugging, like, just does whatever he wants to do. And the kids all think, that was another thing, my kids all thought that I was like, something's wrong with me because I'm ending the fun, like, he's blasting on the little radio or whatever outside the house at 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and trying to keep the kids up to have a party with him drunk, right?
Mm.
And my neighbors are like, you've got to be quiet, or we're going to call the police.
Mm-hmm.
And I get rid of the thing and make everybody go to bed, and I'm the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I get rid of the speaker.
Right.
So it's been like this for 20 years. All of a sudden we're the
Oh.
bad guy for being the protecting parent or the good parent or whatever. And guess what? We're allowed to get mad or raise our voice or say, this is what you have to do. And right now the court order says that my oldest and my second or my third one down, because it says they can do whatever they want, come when they want to come, do whatever that. So having an order like that says they don't have to follow any of your rules.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them rules and they don't like it, they can just leave.
Yeah. These courts are breeding, well, no accountability for themselves, but even for the kids to just do whatever they want to their parents.
Right. And it's a repetitive cycle, because when the more stress it is on us, like my family doesn't really keep up with it anymore. I don't really tell them because it's too much for them to handle.
Mm-hmm,
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when Matt pulled me down the stairs pregnant, right, even then, I mean, I have so many abuse victims that your own family just wants you to be quiet. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't tell anybody about it. Just move on with life. His family has a lot of money. It's going to be really bad for you. I'm pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
He could have killed me and my baby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's how families are.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, wait a minute. Like she, after I did go through, and see, I told you so, like they start kidnapping your kids and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even his mom, like I remember his mom calling and leaving a threatening voicemail on my parents' message machine, and my mom physically shaking as she's playing it to the police about Matt's mom threatening our lives, essentially. Right. And this was another time I forgot about. I'm literally leaving my parents' neighborhood, and my parents live in a really nice neighborhood, but it's way out there on the lake. At the stop sign, leaving the neighborhood, the police pull me over and say that I don't have a registration, or I'm driving without a registration or something. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I think, that's another thing they'll get done to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or undone to you, even if you've already paid it. And they took me to jail on the spot. My parents were 200 feet away. I could have walked back to their house. And while they took me to jail, they kidnapped my kids at my parents' house. So even the police help the abusers.
Mm-hmm.
They just do all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of my kids believing the lies.
Yes.
And the thing is I'm not trying to put your dad in jail, but you know what? Your dad needs the separation from you. He's never not seen you for more than 7 days straight in 14 years. And he's kidnapped you 7 times from me, where I don't see you months at a time. And then we have to deal with all this stuff. And I think the problem is when my kids were little, they would go to church with me, and then go to church with me. But it was like when they got older with this COVID stuff, it was the first time he could stick a knife in their belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Like that fear, that COVID fear, mm-hmm. is all of a sudden like, where's your God if COVID is happening, if the whole world is getting sick? And mm-hmm. That God person she talks about is real crazy. Like, that's not even normal.
Well, my ex turned them into atheists, so that's what he did when we divorced.
But we have authority as parents. Like, we have authority as parents to say over our kids that the devil can't have their mind, the devil can't have their soul, the devil can't have their thought process. They are not going to be children of the world. They're not going to think like everybody else thinks. And I believe that what you're doing is going to help your daughter, your two sons, something is about to happen because exposure is so big right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they want to talk to me directly, I'll talk to them because
Mm-hmm.
I've even done that with other people's kids. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, it's like they don't believe it if it comes from you. But they can talk to a stranger and they're like, all of a sudden it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, if all this stuff happened to your mom and it's happening to me still 20 years later, and they did it to, let's see, how many different people are talking to Congress about it? How many different people are speaking out? So the exposure is now. It does say in the Bible that if we live righteously and we believe in God, that we're going to be persecuted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also says that it is going to be exposed. And we also says that we are children of God and he's going to bless us. And he makes promises for us. And we can't let the world and we can't let the devil take our promises. And our kids are promises. Our kids are promises. And so we right now as women stand together and we have to stand united and say, you're going to return the promises of God to us. We're standing there with a clear heart and clean hands. I'm not even asking for him to go to jail. I'm not even asking for persecution for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just asking for my kids and for you to stop persecuting me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Boy, I mean, you have been through so much, and I'm glad we talked today. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or any advice for parents that, just like you said, your kids are doing whatever they want. This is how they set us all up. Let the kids do whatever they want and treat you however they want.
it's
It's
only
like,
the one. It's only the one that's
yeah.
doing it. And she's the one with the boyfriend for the last 2 years, and it all started around, and I don't know. He's the one that he got her birth control. I don't know if they're having sex. I don't know. Like the problem is the other parent and the other family, like they let them go to the beach trip together and have naps together. I mean, the thing is the world allows a lot of stuff that
Mhm.
that is not okay for teenagers. And
Yes.
so they want to believe that I'm crazy for thinking that I need to be a parent and parent my own kids and because you know what do we want to do? So if my kid ends up pregnant, is it on the judge? Is the judge going to pay for it? Is the
Mhm.
judge going to pay for the next 18 years of that child's life?
I think they
Is the judge
should.
going to pay for all the chaos of what happens? So
Mhm.
that's what needs to happen. There needs to be some sort of accountability. If these judges are letting them do whatever they want to do, then they need to be held responsible as the parent. Like you're parenting the kid through this irrational order,
Mhm.
then you need to be held financially responsible for
Mhm.
your irrational parenting skills.
Right. Well said. No, that was great. Yeah. These judges cause all this havoc in families, and then they just, get to go home to their families, and everything's hunky dory or over there. I would think, because they have so much money to blow on the kids. They go to Disney like 4 times a year, 6 times a year. I remember sitting in a support conference, and my ex's attorney said, "Oh yeah, I'm taking my wife to Disney to cheer her up." I felt like saying, "Hey buddy, this is on your dime. Get it?"
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the crazy thing is, I'm ordered to pay you $3,000 a month, and all of a sudden after that, you can go to Florida for the week with my kids. I literally got harassed, like attacked, not so much by my ex-husband, but also by my kids, that they could not even take an hour extra off of school because they could not miss one class. 3 of them are in AP classes. They can't miss one class or they will be so far behind a school they're going to flunk out.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like their rationale is so irrational.
Mhm.
But yet if I say to them, like, okay, well, your dad takes you out to do whatever he wants to do, but this is a family event and a wedding. But the thing is my own family will be like, oh, well, they don't have to come.
Mhm.
You just
Mhm.
get there when you get there.
Mhm.
You know, if they didn't, it didn't need to be that big of a deal. You didn't have to show up at the rehearsal dinner. After I went through all that to get my kids here, You're going to talk
Oh,
to them
geez.
like that? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, are you kidding me?
Mm,
And I just thought, it was maybe my sister just didn't want to pay for my kids all to be eating, because there's 8 of us, right, with me
mhm,
and my kids. So I had already prepaid her the money for the our amount that it would cost for us to eat, probably double or triple amount that it would cost for our family to eat. I paid that and said, if it's about the money, here you go. But
mhm.
like,
Oh, what a mess.
it's just weird, you
Yeah.
know, because it's almost like people don't. So my youngest sister has a special needs child that has a lot of special needs issues,
Mhm,
right? Constantly correcting him, it's just constantly makes the whole room in an uproar of how
mhm,
he behaves. I mean, he's got kicked out of many schools, he's been doing all this stuff, like a lot, like the rehearsal dinner, she didn't even want him there because
mm.
she didn't want to have to deal with him. He came to the wedding for just a few minutes and then
Oh,
left after pictures because she can't handle him.
mhm,
But you're going to treat my kids differently. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So if her child that has these issues went around to every single person in the family, me, my mom, my dad, everyone, every time she corrected him and said to my parents and my family that she's a problem and she's so horrible and she did this to me and she blah 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 blah, she would lose it.
mhm.
She would lose it because she already loses it constantly with him. Like, she has no patience. She's even said to me, I don't know how you have 6 kids. I can't even handle 2.
Oh, no.
Like that kind of person. But yet I'm always parent, like it if you become the problem of the narcissist,
Mm,
if you don't support your parenting of the
mhm,
protective parent.
mhm.
If you go in there and say, oh, kids can do whatever they want to do, don't have to follow their rules, don't have to follow parenting rules, um, you know,
Yeah,
then you're
yeah.
just as much as a problem.
Mhm,
I mean, I've had other people say that. I don't know if you've had that issue. Like, okay, well, they're teenagers, they're gonna have sex, they're gonna be doing all this stuff. Like, you just have to get over it. Your beliefs shouldn't matter.
mm. Well, I'm really big on not lying, and it was, a sweet 16 birthday party we were gonna have at the house, and I told her, I said, "On the invitations, I want these kids out of here by 10:30 because I have migraines, and I don't know when they're gonna happen, and I have to work." This is when I was able to work and before all the really horrible stuff happened, but she puts on the invitation 11:45. And so I, messaged or no, I emailed the ex and I said, "Could you tell her this is wrong? This is lying." She outright lied to me, and now I got these kids in the house. And so he just said, "Well, it's only for one night." So I'm thinking, "Well, this is why families are so messed up."
Yeah. Because you're the parent, you're the mom. You're
Yes.
having the party at your house. You're paying for it. You get to decide when it's over.
Right, right, and the thing is, they want you to co-parent, right? They're throwing co-parenting down your throat, and you have to deal with this, someone who just doesn't wanna co-parent. He even walked out of a co-parenting meeting. So you can't make these personality disorders if they don't wanna do it, you're the problem.
The funny thing that happened on October 25th, um, for some reason, I think I dyed my hair brown. I don't know if my ex-husband didn't notice me, or, sometimes they'll sit directly behind you intentional to try to, scare you or intimidate you.
Mhm.
But some guy sat next to him and he's just talking about me bad, like for an hour and a half. For some reason, I've never seen this happen before. They bring my advocate on and say, oh, we're going to go in the back and talk to the other lawyers that are here about all their cases,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll get you back on the advocate. They were back in the back for like over 2 hours with like 9 different lawyers. Not one case, all the other cases that were in the room. It was full of people. Okay.
Oh,
So when do you talk about everybody's case at the same time? That's got to be conflict of interest, right? And
yeah.
then why would you have like an open door court hearings on these, just talking to the lawyers in the back? That I've never seen that done in 14 years. Okay.
No.
And
No.
then so they come back and they're like, so I have to sit there and listen to my ex-husband talk about me to this person that sat next to him. Well, it was like a seat between us and then another one. Well, apparently, then this other girl comes and sits right behind me and starts talking to me. Well, apparently that was her ex that was sitting next to him. And so I just filled her in about how, I said, oh, that's your ex, about how much naughty things they're saying about us and how horrible we are.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just filled in, back. I said, well, I mean, this would have never happened we would have never had a divorce if he hadn't pulled me down a half a flight of stairs pregnant, if he wasn't cheating on me,
Mm-hmm.
if he hadn't kidnapped my kids 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we just got a court order saying that I have to pay him almost $3,000 a month when I pay for everything. I pay for their car. I pay for this. I pay for that. I said, they even come, he testified on October 25th that they come in and out of my house whenever they want to. Because they do. They have 2 of them have cars. Well, they can shop for face wash and tampons at my house because he won't even buy them that. But yet I have to pay him $3,000 a month for them to sleep at his house. And I'm the one during the week at their meets, at their games, at their stuff. He's not even showing up to that. He's not even. The only thing he did show up to, because we had court on October 25th, was this Friday. They were supposed to come to my house all weekend, and he changed it again, and he bought tickets to the football game, and I didn't know it was senior night or that my daughter was like walking until after it already happened. Like, oh, Sutton's walking on the field right now. And last time we had my weekend, my oldest daughter didn't come because she wants to be able to stay out all night, and it was a homecoming, and so she didn't come so she can stay out till 3 or 4 in the morning or do whatever she wants with her boyfriend. And she did meet us for lunch that Sunday, and like we had lunch and had a birthday lunch with somebody, and she hung out with us all then. But she's been doing this since she was 16, and the problem is she wants me to pay for everything for her, but she doesn't want to have any parent, and she gets to do whatever she wants. And whenever I tell her something to give her parenting advice, then she's going to attack me to the whole world of how crazy I am and how horrible of a person I am, that I'm the problem, not her dad. But just because I'm the one that parents, I mean, her dad's not there. He's not even at the house. They just do whatever. They're parenting each other. You know what I mean? Like, right. My older 2 kids are the ones picking up the younger 2 kids from school and for whatever. He's not parenting. He's not doing it. He waited to kidnap them this last time, weeks after she got her driver's license, that I took her to get her driver's license too, because he's not going to drive them around.
How sad.
Yeah. I just believe that I'm going to be, that somehow that Newton's going to do something because the election is here. I don't know. The Department of Justice is going to do something, that somebody's going to do something to Jay White. And I'm not even asking for his license to be removed. I'm just asking him to stop. Like that there's some sort of like punishment for his behavior, that he's got to stop. And I get sole custody of my kids like now, and I never have to go back to court again. I'm not paying my second ex-husband $85,000. I'm not paying my first ex-husband $3,000 a month, and I get sole custody of my kids. The truth is out. Everything has been exposed. Obviously you said in court, my kids are in and out of the house whenever they want to come. The only thing I have said is like, my oldest will bring her boyfriend. I mean, I have someone at my house all the time. Okay. Because I'm here by the time my younger kids get off the bus. She's never been in my house with a boyfriend alone, but I think maybe, I don't know what's happened, but I think maybe there's a new rule that she can't be at the house with the boyfriend alone in her dad's house. But see, they don't tell me what goes. There could be the littlest thing ever that goes on at my house and he knows everything about it. If whatever goes on at their house, they're not allowed to speak to me about.
Same.
And so I don't know what's going on besides their change in behavior. Like all of a sudden you're all coming over to my house to hang out with this boyfriend like 2 and 3 times a week so that Sutton can hang out with her boyfriend at my house. I mean, I'm like, but my rules are like, you're not going to be you're not laying all over each other. You're not going to be in a room by yourself together. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Essentially he's just here. He doesn't get to be off by himself with her. Where his family took her to the beach with them. And literally she's like, we're just getting up from a nap together.
Yeah.
Like texting me that. You know, like, so I don't get any say in that.
No, and these judges are setting these families and kids up for failure. They're just making her life harder later.
And honestly, he's nicer than she is to me. Like, he seems like a nice enough kid, right? But he's not been given any rules. His parents aren't giving him the same rules of what, and obviously my ex-husband's not giving her any rules. So, but that doesn't make me crazy to think that my 16-year-old shouldn't be doing certain things. I'm now 17-year-old shouldn't be. It started at 16. You know, and the sad thing is that when you're that young, I just didn't care about boys like she does. I didn't I just, and everybody else is like, that's just how girls are. They're going to attack their whole family. And this guy's always going to come first. Not if you have Jesus, not if you have God, not if you're walking in righteousness. You don't treat your family with disrespect, and you don't act like that. You don't behave. You know, I didn't have sex till I got married. You know, I mean, so there's a standard of behavior. And so I know that she knows that standard, but she just wants to fit in with the world right now. And, you know, I'm not saying that she can't have a boyfriend, but I just think that there needs to be boundaries. Right. You know, like you don't just freely go. I mean, there's so many parents that do it. They just freely go and get their kids birth control and let them have sex in the house, knowing they're in there. And same thing with drugs and alcohol. They do that with their kids. I mean, my second ex-husband, his family was like that. Even my first ex-husband, his family was like that. Let them drink and party and do whatever around them. But how does that teach them how to be a responsible adult? These people are having divorce problems and parenting issues even, 20 years later, because their parent couldn't teach them how to be an adult, how to stand on their own 2 feet and about God. This is the big problem in America. It's the big problem. There's no God. Right. But, I'd like to have you back on with more updates. Sorry, I feel like I just talked and talked and talked. No, you let us know what's going on, and people would like to know what's going on and make people aware of what's happening to you. So don't jump off. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I am your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again here with Amy Palacios in the future, because I'm going to have you back on, and other exciting guests. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you.